It having reached the hour of 5:30 p.m., I am calling the October 22, 2024 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Here.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Here.
Councilmember Ricky.
Here.
Councilmember Bavaro is not in attendance, and Mayor Zwallen.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Pat Nagel from Redeemer Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will you please pray with me? Father, this evening we just begin with a moment of gratitude. I really believe if we take everything into account, all the privileges and freedoms we have much to be thankful for, and there's always still much to do. So we say thank you, and we ask for your help. Lord, I thank you that we have the ability to meet and go over many agenda items this evening, and I thank you that there is also freedom for voices from our community to be heard as well. We pray for your grace, for your leadance, your guidance, and your help. May this continue to be a good and a better place for all of us. And we pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. 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 Thank you.
Thank you. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Just a reminder, public comment is 3 minutes. There are blue speakers at the entrance in the chambers. In addition, written public comment was received, and that was forwarded to the council.
Thank you. Do any council members have any conflicts of interest?
And Mayor, Vice Mayor Alvarez will be recusing himself from item 7 related to the award of Cannabis Equity Program grants. The Vice Mayor does not have a financial interest with the item. However, given that a family member informed him of their intent to apply for a permit under the city's cannabis program, he wishes to avoid any perception issues.
Thank you. I will report out on closed session. At today's closed session, the council conducted the city clerk's performance evaluation. The council unanimously concluded that Diane is doing an excellent job. We as a council look forward to continuing to work together as a team to make Modesto the best it can be. Next on the agenda is acknowledgements and presentations. We have presentations of the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting and Popular Annual Financial Reporting Award from the Government Finance Officers Association for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, and presentation for the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award by GFOA for fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. Our city manager, Joe Lopez, will present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Modesto is excited to announce it is once again being recognized for excellence in the reporting of the effective management of public funds for Modesto. The city has an unwavering determination and dedication to fostering trust between the city and the residents we serve, demonstrating that the city is fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. The City of Modesto is members of the Government Finance Officers Association, a professional association of state and local finance officers in the United States and Canada who have served in the public finance profession. The city participates in the annual award programs, and this year we are the recipients of 3 awards. The first award is a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The city is being recognized for going beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare the comprehensive annual financial reports that exhibit the spirit of transparency and full disclosure in public finance. The city of Modesto has received this award for 41 years. The second award is for the popular annual financial reporting requirements. This award recognizes the city's accomplishments in producing high-quality annual financial reports that are specifically designed to be readily accessible and easily understandable by anyone without a background in finance. This is our 7th consecutive year receiving this award. The third award is the Distinguished Budget Presentation. The city received this prestigious award for demonstrating the excellent preparation of the budget documents to the very highest quality. This award is the highest form of recognition in government budget, and its attainment represents a significant achievement by those organizations that receive it. In addition to these awards, the city is also being designated as the GFOA Triple Crown Award winner for the 4th consecutive year. This means that the city met the high standards of all 3 separate award programs. To highlight the significance of this achievement, out of tens of thousands of public agencies in the United States and Canada, only 356 agencies have been awarded this distinction in 2022, and Modesto was one of them. These awards would not be possible without the hard work and diligence of the finance department, specifically our accounting manager, Maria Garnica, the accounting division, the city's communication team, the budget division, staff and manager, and all the city's departments that continued their commitment to the budget process. These awards represent the city's determination to provide responsible management and oversight of the financial resources of Modesto, meeting the needs of the residents and contributing to the overall well-being of our community. So once again, I'd like to thank our staff for all their hard work and everything that goes into the budget. Getting the Triple Crown is certainly an achievement that we should be proud of, given that there are so many public agencies across this country and in Canada, and to be one of a few to receive it just goes to the diligence of our staff. So thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any comments from council members at this time regarding this award? I'd like to make a comment to also congratulate especially our finance department. I know they do a tremendous amount of work, and I'm just grateful that we've received all 3 of these awards again this year. Thank you very much for your effort, for your work, for your diligence, and for your precision with which you operate. So we will come down right now and make the formal presentation.
Joe, do you want to join us? Come on, give it a go. Give it a go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Everyone look good. Everyone gather up.
I'm tall. Not saying you're not, but I am tall.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. Congratulations. Oh, wait, sorry. Sorry, we did. Of course.
Thank you.
That's official word. Oh, really? I just have to make one comment that it really is great when we have young people here in the meetings. It really does make all the difference. And I really appreciate each one of you here tonight. Our city attorney has one more comment to make regarding an item.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is regarding declaration of conflicts of interest, and I apologize, Mayor, I forgot to include this one. Councilmember Williams did remind me. That's related to item number 6. The councilmember will be recusing himself. This item is related to Downtown Streets team, and I know the councilmember does participate in one of their housing programs. In an abundance of caution, given that this is an agreement that they're receiving funds, he's going to be recusing himself, but I know that they do great work in that arena.
All right, thank you very much. Next is item 2. Consider the removal of Kathleen Munoz and Mike Kelly from the City of Modesto Blight Abatement Advisory Committee and appointing Tim Ragsdale and Christina Talo to the committee for a 4-year term with an expiration date of December 31st, 2028. Does council have any questions of staff? I will open item 2 up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding this item? Seeing none, I will close public comments. Any comments from council members? Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Kathy Munoz for her work on the Blight Abatement Committee. Kathy's just moved to Fresno. She's going to Fresno State to get her degree. And I wish her all the luck, and Modesto's lost a great person that was really involved in our city.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike Kelly, I want to thank him for his service. Unfortunately, he was unable to complete his term due to a death in the family, particularly his father. So thank you, Mike Kelly, for your service.
All right. Thank you for your comments. I have a resolution approving the removal of Kathleen Munoz and Mike Kelly from the City of Modesto Blight Abatement Advisory Committee pursuant to Section 4.08A of the committee's bylaws due to unexcused absences, and the appointments of Tim Ragsdale and Christina Talo to the committee for a 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2028. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ricky, or Vice Mayor Alvarez, I couldn't tell. Vice Mayor Alvarez, will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. So that carries 6-0. As noted on the agenda, public comment will only be in person. Zoom will still be available for viewing and wordly translation. Thank you for being here tonight. The City of Modesto Council meetings are a place where everyone is encouraged to listen, share views, and participate in the decision-making process that benefits our community. Your engagement is valuable, and it helps our council and city staff collaborate on finding solutions that enhance the quality of life for the residents of Modesto. To be fair and equitable, every individual has the right to speak at this council meeting. However, it is imperative that we foster and maintain a respectful environment for the well-being and safety for everyone present at these proceedings. It is the mayor's responsibility to preserve strict order and decorum at all council meetings. Pursuant to the Charter of the City of Modesto, Article 6, the Mayor, Section 0601, Powers and Duties of Mayor. The mayor shall have the authority to preserve order at all council meetings and to remove or cause the removal of any person from any meeting of the council for disorderly conduct, to enforce the rules of the council, and to determine the order of business under the rules of the council. Accordingly, the City Council meeting decorum rules are as follows. Please be respectful of all presenters, council members, staff, and members of the public. Please refrain from clapping other than following a presentation. All speakers are encouraged to state their name and city of residence. All questions must be directed to the mayor. Please do not block the view of others by holding signs up during council meetings. Time limits for public comments is 3 minutes, but may be limited at the discretion of the mayor to manage the business of the council. Speaking over others or interrupting while others have the floor is not permitted. Cell phones should be turned off or shall be set to vibrate during meetings. Thank you for your patience and participation as we work together to address the issues impacting the community. Maintaining order and decorum during the City Council meeting is crucial in the effective governance of Modesto and ensuring the Council's decisions are reflective of the community's priorities. Anyone disrupting the Council meeting may be asked to leave. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? This is for items not on the Council agenda, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Anyone wishing to address the City Council is asked to follow the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted at the entrance of the chambers. So I currently have several cards, and I will read the names in the order that I received them. First is Perfecto Munoz.
Yes, my name is Perfecto Munoz. I live in Modesto, and I'm currently the Executive Director for the West Modesto Community Collaborative. I've come before you, Mayor and Vice Mayor, as well as members of the Council. I come before you to share the People's Plan report that we completed over the last couple of years in terms of the planning and the implementation and the final report. This report has some real value that we think that the City Council can use as they look into as they present their ideas in the efforts up to 2050. There are a lot of important elements in this report that I think are helpful, and they also come with recommendations. This is not a report that's pointing out complaining. This is a report that's sharing the voices of the community. And I want to acknowledge the fact this is a community report. It's not my report. These are the voices that we heard in the community that they're concerned with. And in this document that you should have all received, it was pretty apparent that you can see that some of the elements are there. And what we can do as a whole, meaning what we can do in the community as well as working with you as City Council members, as well as the Mayor and the Vice Mayor, as well as the City Manager, to what can we do to make the better life in certain parts of the community, i.e. West Modesto. And I think that's one of the important key elements for us, is to try to be able to do that. And so I want to be able to acknowledge that this was done by a great effort of community. I want to acknowledge the fact that we use the talented and the services of UC Davis, who helped us craft this report. And they were the ones that did the expertise in terms of aggregating the data and coming up with this report. I also want to be able to thank my staff who digitally spend time doing these surveys and going out in the community and asking these kinds of questions. But before we even asked the question and the survey, we field tested the survey within the community and looked at what we could do to make it better. And end result, we got what we think that is good for the community. One of the things I should point out is that the economic director, or I think it's Mr. Barber, had reached out to me and wanted to know if he can use some of this data at the meeting that they're going to have, that economic summit that's coming up soon by the city. And I said yes. I think if there's anything valuable that you can use in there, that's what the report is. It's not something that's hidden. I will tell you that this report has now is starting to hit the streets. We're going to have a town hall meeting to discuss this report and how that affects the transparency and the readiness that we need to work with the city in order to enhance the wellness of the city and the people that live in the city. And that's one of the things I'm offering you. I'm offering you an opportunity to read it. Let us talk to you, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to all of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next is Sterling Fountain.
Good evening. I'm back again. I'm coming on behalf of the MLK Park and the King County Memorial Center. The main reason I'm addressing you tonight is because of an $8.65 million grant that was awarded to Martin Luther King Park approximately 2 to 3 years ago. Going back 20 years ago, we had a pool there at the park. We had activities going at the park. The city came and removed the pool and promised to have a splash pad placed there for our children. Activities also went away. 20 years later, we still don't have a splash pad. Once we found out that we were going to be awarded the $8.6 million grant for the park, the community met on numerous occasions to come up with plans and recommendations for what they wanted in their park. That information was presented to the city staff, and we heard the city was supposed to go and come back with drawings for us to review. That came back, we reviewed it, and gave our input. Heard nothing back from the city until we met with the staff about 2 weeks ago, and they told us that the and I might be wrong, $5 or $6 million was going to be redirected to the Cesar Chavez Park, because they were awarded a grant first before the Martin Luther King Park was, which we don't have a problem with that. Cesar Chavez Park, formerly 4th Street Park, Cesar Chavez Park was there long before MLK Park. I'm a product of that park. I remember when we had several pools there, tennis courts and everything else. So we're not complaining about that. What we're complaining about is the fact that the city is not transparent when it comes to anything that's to be done at MLK Park or the King Kennedy Memorial Center. We seem to have to come before you every time anything needs to be done. Now, we go through the process of asking for things and letting you know what's wrong. Like, for instance, our doors, it took 5 years to get replaced. The kitchen doors took months to replace. Exit doors, which was a safety habit, took months to get replaced. Light switches were still not repaired. Landscaping and sprinkler systems that are non-functional, the landscaping is dried up. We have a loading area for the handicap where there's a big hole, and when it rains, it floods. It's a hazard. We've asked numerous times to have that filled in with dirt. All that takes is just a little dirt to fill in that. Rainy season is approaching. Did I do 3 minutes? Oh.
Yes.
Well, okay. I will let some other people come and talk because they're addressing the same things that we're talking, that we're coming to your attention about.
All right, thank you. Next, Wendy Bird.
So my 3 minutes don't count. Okay, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I'll talk fast because I have a few things that I want to talk about. First, thank you for the work on the Cannabis Equity Program and moving that forward. We appreciate that. There's still more opportunities that we hope you'll take advantage of. And we still want to get that back on the agenda for the council to discuss a vote on where those next 2 licenses are going to go. Speaking of the King Kennedy Center, we're one of the NAACP, we're one of the organizations that have our meetings there. And we've been invested in the West Side and the King Kennedy Center for the last 30 years. We were part of the groups that were meeting with the architects and designers to kind of outline or provide input of what we want. One thing that I see with the city is that we are partners when it comes to gathering information to get grants, and then once we get the grants, we're no longer partners, we're silent. And what we'd like to ask is for more communication, more transparency before decisions are made. Right now, nobody really knows exactly what all to expect. That creates a lot of fear. We're told that the King Kennedy Center is going to have to go through an RFP process after the park is renovated and things like that. And what happens too is that the people that do the heavy lifting to create all these things, when all the nice things come around, then we sometimes feel like we get pushed out of the way and other people can slide in just because they have more money. As you see, the King Kennedy Center, it's not just about, we actually help the city because we help reduce crime. We reach a population that others may not want to. And I honestly believe that if you have not come from those backgrounds, it's really hard to understand the makeup and what all it takes to service those people. So we're a valuable bridge, and we want to be regarded and respected as that. We want to know what's going on. We don't want a lot of behind-the-scenes decisions made without our involvement, especially with the MLK Park and the King Kennedy Center. And so we're just here to express a lot of concern. We want to know more about what's going on. The members of this community have fought hard for everything that's happened at that center, to include having it built. We don't want to be shut out of the process now. And so, there's an expectation that we will be drawn back to the table to find out more about what the plans are, not after the fact, when it's too late. And, what is this business about the $8.6 million that is supposedly being reallocated to the Cesar Chavez Park? If that happens, what assurance are we going to have that the MLK Park is not going to get shortchanged? Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome. Yeah, I would like the city manager to address the comments regarding the funding for Martin Luther King Park and Cesar Chavez Park.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I'd like to address is I can assure the community that none of the $8.5 million grant that we got from Martin Luther King has been redirected to Cesar Chavez Park. There's still the $8.5 million funding still exists. We are now at 100% of design of the park, which means now we are preparing to bid the construction of the improvements of the park. We anticipate that to go after the first of the year. So we anticipate that happening, and then construction sometime next summer to begin in the park. I'm looking for confirmation of that. So that's what we anticipate there. There is a funding gap between the current design and that, but we are committed to finding ways to fund that gap to make sure that the community is still getting the park that we have all agreed upon during those various community meetings. So that is still in the works. I'd be happy to meet with anybody at any time to go over those specifics. If you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
All right, thank you. Next is for public comment, Cindy Yoder.
Hello, Mrs. Mayor and Chris Ritchie. I spoke with you on the phone. I am a member of the community, and I'm also a resource service coordinator for Archway Commons, which is an affordable housing complex here in Modesto, and it's doing very well. I am speaking on behalf of a very close and dear project that I was able to volunteer for before I had this position at Archway Commons, and it is called the Vine House. And it is right across the street from the MLK and what has been being discussed. And I know there's been rumblings amongst the neighbors in the neighborhood about the struggle that is occurring because of the clientele and the resources that are being used for the homeless, the ones without an address. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but the ones that come to receive their mail at the Vine House, that receive a shower, that receive laundry service, and they receive oatmeal, soup, and they also receive a warm hug and support to possibly change their life. And I know it has caused problems in the neighborhood. There are some that do not respect the boundaries of the neighborhood, do not respect the neighborhood itself or the neighbor's property as well. But there is a saying, and it's a valid one, not in my backyard. The problem is that Modesto has incurred a very strong and difficult situation with a lot of the substance abuse and not respecting themselves, let alone the property around them. And I'm just wondering, are there restrictions on a property that is being used in this service? And are there guidelines that disallow certain restrictions or prevent certain services for this population for a ministry like Vine House?
What I'm going to do, because this is, yes, There are many, many initiatives and guidelines. I think that your questions could be answered in a very lengthy matter. We have many alternative responses to people that are on the streets. Our chat, our heart, I could go on and explain. Now is not the time to do that. I think what I would recommend is that we have, and the clock should have stopped while I'm speaking, but there was about 45 seconds, I think. I'm going to ask that Allison reach out to you and give you her card, and then we can have a more lengthy discussion to explain specifically what area you're talking about, what the problem is, because I can't really understand even from, I appreciate your comments, but I'm not sure exactly where you're going with it. So
yes, and I do agree that having the collaborative, the West Modesto Collaborative, is really highly strengthening to the community and bringing the concerns of different things to, the outcome of betterment of our community. But I do want to help support that this is a good ministry and this will continue no matter where it is, the struggles that we have. 80% of Archway Commons are wonderful people, 20% have issues, but 80% are good. So I think there is that element that we have to work through as a community and as a neighborhood that will benefit all of us.
all right, please share with Allison, or get Allison's information, she'll share it with you, and then I'd love to follow up. Next is Sebastian Jones.
Well, good evening, Mayor and my fellow City Council. Yes, that's what I was down here. I got about 4 calls on this, maybe 5. I didn't know what was going on. But thank you, Mr. Lopez, for a little clarification. Because if nobody in this room has worked dearly on Dr. King, gathering 8,500 signatures in 15 years to get that park change in that building. Well, you guys cut me short. I didn't get the building because I always believed that Dr. King, he stands alone. He doesn't share a name. And I'm still working on that issue because that's what I believe. And also, I'm working on 2 statues in this town. One, those who know me, is Dr. King statue, and one is Cesar Chavez statue. They damaged it, ran it over, but they won't run this one that I pretty much designed, and also for Dr. King, because we installed that park on my birthday, June 18th, 2022, and I did it like that because of my effort in fighting. And I wish my fellow councilmen would come and join me on that building so we can have the whole memorial, the building, the street, and the park. That is a perfect fitting. I worked so hard. I thank God I'm still here on this earth. But we must understand Dr. King means a lot. To me it does. And that's why I worked so hard. I had a heart attack working on it. I didn't fought cancer. I want to see this before I leave this earth, if it's possible. I know some people think it's different, but I'm just Sebastian. my passion and my belief. I don't bring no harm, but I stand firm on what I believe. You must know and feel I'm a Texan, and Dr. King has done a lot for all different nationalities, and I appreciate that. I have no money, but I do have a voice, and I can walk and talk. Mary, you remember probably 10 years ago, 15 maybe, I've been talking about this. Just like the school, I would run for any office, and I have done it to prove a point. That's my passion on Dr. King. And I, just like Sterling was saying, I was there when they dug the swimming pool up, and they promised us some of the gadget, but they all went to North and the East Side and one here down the street, but nothing for that center. It's something about that center. I fought for a flag. Can you believe a United States flag? I fought 3.5 years to get an American flag over there. I told President, well, he was Vice President Biden, and I told Senator Kamala Harris the same thing. I'm going to keep using my tongue, and I wish you, councilman, would get on board and let's change that name and be respectful of Dr. King, not sharing a name. Thank you, and I hope that you understand it's dear to people that look like me to have something. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next is Noe Paramo.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Council members, staff. I'm Noé Paramo. I'm with California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. I'm also a resident of Modesto, and I'm here in partnership with the West Modesto Community Collaborative, and I align my comments with Dr. Munoz in support of the People's Plan. I also want to acknowledge the residents that are here today in support of the plan. Buenas noches, la alcaldesa, miembros y personal de Ciudad de Modesto. Yo me llamo Noé Paramo, soy de la Asistencia Legal Rural de California, la Fundación, y soy residente de Modesto. Estoy aquí alineando mi comentario con Dr. Muñoz, y también estamos en asociación con West Modesto Community Collaborative, apoyar el plan de la gente y también reconocer la gente que está aquí presente del oeste de Modesto que están apoyando el plan. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? Right, welcome.
Hello, my name is Ron Deloach. This goes up to the mayor, city councilman. First of all, I'd like to know what is the condition of the Martin Luther King Park? I know that we fought hard to get it to where it's at now. There's too many residents that are asking what's going to happen. And Mr. Lopez mentioned has closed some of the doors, but I want to be able to take some things back to the community so that they can be set at ease about what's going on. And I spoke with Prefecto Munez about the moving of the King Kennedy Collaborative. Now, and it being closed for 18 months. That's almost ridiculous considering that in 18 months we can almost be not heard of. You know, we want to have our programs which is basically for the seniors, for the youth of that community, and for the teens of that community. You know, and if those programs are moved somewhere else, then our whole being for being on the west side is almost dismissed. You know, Sterling is a huge part of that center because she supplies a lot for that community. And we want to be able to continue that. You know, it's going to be tough doing that from afar. We want to be right there for the people of the community. You know, to hear that that monies for the grant is not going to be used for anything but for the fixing of the park. You know, since they filled in the swimming pool, we have been honored from the city council to receive a splash pad. You know, that's been some time ago. We would love our children to be able to go back into the park. You know, we had a lean time where it wasn't to our advantage to have our kids go into the park. But having a feature there that would bring them back is a major plus for us.
All right, you've exceeded your time. Do you have a quick comment?
Thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Also, I would say regarding any updates with the park, I'm more than happy to come to the King Kennedy Center and meet with Allison, with our Parks and Recreation leader, and meet with anyone that's here tonight or at any appointed time. We just have to set that up and we can make that happen. So if you would like, I think you know, you have my contact information, I hear from many of you. Please feel free and we can set that up. Any other comments, public comment? And this is for items not on the agenda. Welcome.
Hello, good evening. My name is Laura Plasencia, and I'm a community organizer with Valley Improvement Projects, a countywide organization working on social and environmental justice here in our county. And first and foremost, I would like to thank you all for your guys' efforts in including community member voices in the integration of our City of Modesto and the city planning. And what I would like to second what Dr. Munoz has shared about the People's Plan, and overall just congratulate their team. Congratulate their team for such an extensive and wonderful report that truly represents community-based priorities to help our community live healthier lives here in Modesto. And I wish for the community-based organizations' efforts to be to better our city and county to be considered and valued as efforts that are to benefit the quality of life of our people. Lots of energy and collaboration efforts with local and regional organizations and institutions, and many resources go into these efforts. And I believe it's only beneficial for our city government to give higher priority to our community assets. I would like to continue to advocate for further investment in community outreach and more effective outreach and inclusion of community members in advising and providing input, integration in the decision making, especially those that will be heavily impacting community members' future, like the the general plan, which is what West Modesto Collaborative has done with the People's Plan, connecting with communities that are disconnected and more marginalized. I would also like to voice the importance of seeing community as an asset and experts of the land, especially when living in these areas for years. Local community members have built up expertise and knowledge about the land that can gather support with qualitative data that outside experts could never provide. Government has historically underinvested in the engagement of community input as outreach efforts have gotten better, and I am grateful for that. sharing on social media and email, and printing some copies for a community that is already engaged in these circles very often excludes community that is technologically isolated or in the further pockets of the city, and I believe that you guys are missing out on very valuable input. I would like to suggest engaging in phone calls as a form of outreach and engaging in a more intentional strategic outreach process where you guys connect with community who lives in the land where intentions of changing plans are. Thank you guys for the opportunity to speak.
You're welcome. Evening. All right.
I am Kevin McClarty, District 1. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm going to speak about the Zoom meetings and not allowing people to speak in the Zoom meetings. I really used to enjoy that when we used to be able to speak in the Zoom meetings. It was nice to be able to talk to the council from my living room. And I understand the reason that you cannot do it now, basically because you cannot mute people because of the First Amendment. And I understand that, but I wanted to know, have you thought of doing a time delay? And if you do a time delay, then you can bleep out any profanity or anything that is stated, and you can still allow people to speak at the Zoom meeting. So in other words, if somebody says something profane or inappropriate, they could be muted on the time delay, and thereby you could still have people speaking, and you don't have to prohibit people from speaking at a Zoom meeting. And I'm just wondering if you thought about that possibility. And then the other thing that I need clarification on personally is I don't understand prohibiting people from applauding speakers. It seems to me that the applauding gives you an opportunity to see a microcosm of the entire city. In other words, it gives you a little bit of a gauge of how the electorate might feel about what that person just said. And being that you represent the electorate, I would think that you would want to know how people are reacting to what the person is saying. And so I don't understand the rationale for that. And maybe you can explain that to me. I don't understand it. Okay, so maybe there is some sort of a city clause prohibiting that. But you know, there's that old saying that you can find a justification for anything in the Bible. So you probably can find a justification for anything that you want to regulate in the city charter. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. So I would ask you to rethink that rule, and maybe consider allowing people to react a little bit and give yourself an opportunity to see how people are responding, and then thereby ask yourself, well, is this indicative of how the people in the city might be responding to this? So, food for thought. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comments for items that are not on the agenda?
Good evening, Mayor, Council Member. My name is Zaf, and I just want to talk on behalf of the homeless again. And I want to tell you, for a few weeks, you know, for a long time, my wife doing this run on the streets that she's going, and used to take her about 3 hours each run to do what she did, to deliver stuff. And for a few weeks, those runs start to take her about 5 and 6 hours. The reason was there was no homeless on the street. They were all gone. And I like to have clean streets. I love to have streets and parks with no homeless people. But if we push them away, we should have some kind of program to do what we're doing. And it's amazed me that, I was on the street with her last week. It took us about an hour to run out of all her stuff for people. Because the amount of people on the street last week is unbelievable. So it just showed me, proved me that whatever you're doing doesn't work. Obviously, the count of homeless people this year was exactly like last year. Now, we know that there are more homeless people out there because a lot of them disappear. They don't want to be known. So when I see that city programs get award from the state, and I don't have any problem with that, but we have to make sure that those programs doing the job. I tell you just for example, when homeless person asks for help on the street and he has addiction for alcohol, for drugs, there's a very short amount of time that you can really help him. And for a while, my wife and the people who work with her used to be able to call chat because they used to give them the transportation to the place where they need to go. It worked for a short time. It's funny, now there are more people working with chat, but you can't find them. And they tell my wife that because they doing their job 7 days a week, they can be on the street. So what we need them for? So this is my point, and if you don't want to be part of the state that basically failed with homelessness, with 5 years that they spent $30 billion, and if you don't want to be part of them, maybe you need to sit down and say to yourself and figure, maybe, obviously, somewhere we fail, something doesn't work here. So maybe figure something that be able to work, and if you really want to help those people, just to create programs and get all kind of awards and bring the television station, the newspaper, this is not going to get the job done.
All right, you've exceeded your time. Can you finish your comment?
The question just if you really want to make a difference. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, public comment time. Anyone else for items not on the agenda this evening? All right, we will go on. The next item on the agenda is consent items. An item may be removed from consent and discussed at the request of a member of the public or council member. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item removed for further discussion? Seeing none, is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment?
Sorry, if something gets moved from...
Excuse me, can you come to the microphone? Thank you.
My name's Christina Tello, by the way. I'm the new Blight Advisory.
Oh, great. Thank you. Welcome.
I just had a question. If we remove something from consent, would it get talked about today, or would that push it off?
We would talk about it today.
Sure. I'd like to learn more about this. Sorry, I just missed which one it was.
That's all right. Take your time.
The Cannabis Equity Grant. I'd like to learn more about what that is before it's... Sorry, it's number 7?
Item 7?
Yeah.
Item 7? All right, we will pull that from consent for discussion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Item 3, consider approving the minutes for the October 8th, 2024 council meeting. Item 4, consider approving the 2025 calendar of regularly scheduled city council and council standing committee meetings. Item 5, consider approving a second amendment to the legal services agreement with Swingle, Van Edmond, Heitlinger, increasing the agreement amount by $300,000 for continued representation in tort cases, and a fourth amendment to the legal services agreement with Castillo, Moriarty, Tran, and Robinson, increasing the agreement amount by $175,000 for continued representation in police-related matters. Item 6 has been removed from consent. Item 7 is removed from consent. Item 8, consider approving a will-serve letter and outside service agreement with Julian T. Hugh to connect the City of Modesto's existing sewer system for the property located at 528 Roselawn Avenue, APN 037-040-012. Item 9, consider approving the agreement for tax audits, analysis, and reporting services to Hinderleiter, DeLamas and Associates HDL Companies at Abrea, California, for the total amount not to exceed $1,200,000 over 5 years. Item 10, consider approving the Fifth Amendment with Muni Services LLC, Fresno, California, for tax audits, analysis, reporting services, increasing the agreement amount by $250,000. Item 11, consider accepting the Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Technology and Equipment Program grant in the amount of $3,530,000. Item 12, consider approving an engineering services agreement with West Yost Associates, Sacramento, California, for the 2025 System Risk and Resiliency Assessment Emergency Response Plan updates for a total amount not to exceed $146,225. Item 13, consider approving an engineering services agreement with Woodard and Curran out of Sacramento, California, for the River Trunk South Trunk Santa Rosa Phase 2 Sewer Trunk Rehabilitation Project for a total amount not to exceed $811,646.
All right, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as read?
Motion to approve all items except for 6 and 7.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Wright and a second by Councilmember Escudia Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll for these items?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. Carries unanimously 6-0. Now we will go back to item 6. Consider approving a second amendment to the agreement with Downtown Streets Team to continue to administer a litter abatement program for parks that includes outreach and engagement for individuals experiencing homelessness, increasing the agreement by $350,000 for a revised total agreement amount not to exceed $700,000. Any comments or questions from council members? Comments? Any comments from the public regarding item 6? Comments from council? So I can go directly to the resolution?
It's on the consent calendar, we could just go to motion. If
Okay.
it's discussed, then Councilmember Williams would be leading the dais.
Okay, all right, so do I have a motion for this?
I just had a comment about it.
Okay, so what do we do?
Yeah, Councilmember Williams will go ahead and.
Okay,
that way, just
thank
in case
you.
there's discussion, Mayor.
All right,
This is just a very good program that the city's been doing with Downtown Streets Team. It's been making a noticeable difference in our parks and keeping them cleaner, which I think is of interest tonight when we're talking about the Blight Abatement Committee. This is an example of the city taking steps to acknowledge issues that the public have brought up and continuing to act. So I support it. Thank you.
thank you. For my guidance, is it unnecessary for me to read the resolution?
No, Mayor,
Okay.
it's on consent, but, and
All right.
just for clarity, Mayor, the Councilmember Williams did recuse himself because he does assist in housing an individual under one of their programs. So they're considered a source of income.
All right, thank you very much for that clarification. Do I have a motion for item 6?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Ricky and a second by Councilmember Escudia Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll for item 6?
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Escudia Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. So that carries 5-0.
One abstention.
One abstention.
Or recusal.
Or recusal.
Sorry.
All right, that's all right. Just trying to get it right. All right, welcome back, Councilmember Williams. Next will be consent item 7. Consider approving 4 grant agreements awarding funding to verified City of Modesto cannabis program providing local equity development grants and education, which is called Pledge, participant-owned businesses an amount of $70,000 each. And we will have a staff report by Jessica Hill, our Director of Economic Development.
Great, thank you, Mayor and City Council. So a little bit of background is the state of California, we're offering local jurisdictions grants to help assist those who are negatively impacted by cannabis and criminalization of cannabis. And so in late 2022, the City of Modesto actually completed an assessment and accepted findings of our cannabis equity assessment report and adopted our pledge program. At this action as well, it also allowed the city to apply for cannabis equity grant program. In early 2023, the City of Modesto received a cannabis equity grant in the amount of $350,000. What this meant is $280,000 would actually be available for those who are negatively affected by the cannabis industry and criminalization of cannabis through grants or loans. So the City of Modesto, through our pledge program, there are 3 qualifications. So those who actually lived in the City of Modesto in 4 specific zip codes, 95350, 95351, 95355, and 95354, prior to 2016, actually had, if they were affected or a family member was arrested or convicted of a cannabis-related crime, and it had to be below 80% of the AMI. And so we did have applicants actually apply for to be part of the program. We had 5 applicants actually attend a 6 weeks course in education to kind of explain about the cannabis industry and the ability to open a cannabis business. After that, the City of Modesto actually opened a grant application for those who attended these workshops. The city received 4 applications for that, all of which attended the workshops and qualified for the program. And so in this action today, the city staff is recommending awarding all 4 applications with a $70,000 grant to help them open a cannabis-related business in the City of Modesto. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you very much for that presentation. Does council have any questions of staff regarding consent item 7? Councilmember Wright?
Yeah, just to make the record clear, Jessica, this is all grant money. There's no general fund money being used in this, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from council members? Seeing none, we'll open this up to the public and ask you to come forward.
Yeah, so again, I'm Christina Tello. I'm still a little confused what the program is, so I would like just a tad more clarification. So is this people who were adversely affected, say they were selling or using marijuana and they got in trouble for that, and now they're opening a cannabis store? Is that what this is? This is what it sounds like. I want to confirm that's what this is?
Yeah, if you have other questions also, would you please state them now, and then Jessica will come back up to address them.
That's really, I'm just trying to understand what the program is in general.
Okay.
And it wasn't quite clear exactly how it worked.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So to provide some clarification, a qualification of the program was either that the individual or an immediate family member was arrested or convicted of a cannabis-related crime prior to the legalization of cannabis on November 8, 2016.
All right, thank you very much. Any other members of the public that would like to speak regarding this item, item 7? All right, any comments from council members regarding this item? Do I need to read the resolution since we did have discussion this time? Okay. I have a resolution approving 4 grant agreements to provide funding to verified City of Modesto cannabis program, providing local equity development grants and education, pledge, participant-owned businesses in an amount of $70,000 each, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreements. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Ricky.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scudero-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye. So that carries 5-0, recused. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating thus far. Next on the agenda is council comments and reports. Councilmember Scudero-Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor, very much. I just wanted to mention that I, along with Councilmember Williams and Mayor Zwellen, along with other city executive staff members, attended this past end of the week the California League of Cities annual conference. It was in Long Beach. In addition to multiple very insightful workshops that we all participated on, I also had the wonderful opportunity to tour what will be our new bridge housing units. So if you recall, we had mentioned the fabrication of bridge housing which we're going in that direction. And these units are being fabricated by Boss Cubes. The units will be 64 square feet in square footage. We will be having 42 of these units at 402 9th Street. And this is being done in partnership with Dignity Moves and Behavioral Health. Additional, we will have 12 of these units at 1530 Owens. This will be done in partnership with the county and the Modesto Gospel Mission. I found these units to be extremely well made. They were very comfortable, and most importantly, they were very dignified. So again, that was a wonderful experience. Additionally, staying with the theme of awards and the trifecta awards, at this annual conference that I referenced that we attended in Long Beach, the city was presented with 3 Helen Putnam Awards for excellence. One of them was for, as was mentioned earlier, the Downtown Streets team. This program, it continues to do amazing things for our disadvantaged individuals in our community, and this award was in large part dedicated to the good work of our Community and Economic Development Department. In addition, the second award was awarded to our Modesto Police Department for their Healthy Room project. And the third award was awarded also to our Modesto Police Department for the 10K with a Cop project. These 2 projects are supported by the entire police department and the city, but in large part were moved forward by school liaison officer Sean Dodge, who was there to receive the award. So it was just a wonderful experience. I applaud all the amazing work by all of our city employees and those that receive these awards, the Putnam Awards, but also the Finance Award that Joe was referring to earlier, the Financial Triple Crown Award. This is a big deal, and it just speaks to the work ethic and the commitment to our community that our city employees have. And I just want to mention one more recognition and award, and that's from our Modesto our Modesto Fire Department. I wanted to applaud and congratulate again our Modesto Fire Department for completing their autism certification with the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Educational Standards. In so doing and receiving the certification, it ensures that all of our community members receive the highest level of care, understanding, and respect. And being the mother of an autistic child, I immensely value and appreciate that our fire department just go up and beyond to understand all individuals in our community. So I appreciate that. And just in conclusion, and I wish more of our community members had stuck around for this particular announcement, the city has been doing economic development workshops. They want to know what Modesto will look like in 2050, and they're engaging community members in asking the questions and literally mapping out in a whiteboard with a paper and pencil the thoughts of the community. So much of this conversation that took place today during our public comment would have been exceptionally valuable to capture in these workshops. So I am having a workshop in my district Thursday, October the 24th. It's going to be at the Prescott Junior High School beginning at 5:30. There will be one tomorrow here on Wednesday, start at 5:30. That's going to be a general one. So if you haven't been to any of your district workshops, that would be a good one to go to. But many members of my district one were here and are here. So if I would encourage you to go there and let your thoughts and your good ideas be known and captured, so that we can, so you could be part of what Modesto will look like in 2050. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ricky.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to work off what Councilmember Escudillo-Brayton was saying, the city just can't stop winning here, right? These Helen Putnam Awards, winning them, it's really hard, and winning 3 is pretty much unheard of. So well done, City of Modesto. Well done, everybody. And did you say was chat one of the things that won? It sounded like I read something about that, but what's that? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, great job. I also want to take a moment to appreciate the Modesto Police Department for your hard work regulating smoke shops. MPD's recent inspections of dozens of smoke shops resulted in 22 arrests. They confiscated meth, fentanyl, THC, cannabis, illegal flavored tobacco, gambling machines, and a bunch of other items. And so I just think this is a really good step to making Modesto safer. And I'm looking forward to future actions by this council to make it more difficult for retail businesses to sell illegal drugs and flavored tobacco to residents and children in our community. And finally, I also want to recognize the Modesto Fire Department for their recent autism certification. It just makes us better equipped to serve all the members of our community. And I appreciate all the steps that our fire department is making to be more inclusive, and I really just want to encourage them to continue that, because understanding and empathizing with our residents, it's a superpower, and I just really want to thank you for making that effort. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to also thank my fellow council members for their comments. We had the opportunity to go to Long Beach and had a great time there. We were able to sharpen our pencil and enlighten our mind on the opportunities that we could bring back to the city of Modesto and do a better job at what we're doing. Also, I wanted to bring out to the fact that there may have been something in the paper just recently, or maybe someone's not sure, but there will be a Veterans Day celebration at 3500 Coffee Road from 10:30 to noon. We are working on those details right now, and there will be a Veterans Day celebration. We will be doing a reverse parade. In other words, the military vehicles will be posted in that particular area. There won't be any movement, but this year will be a little different, and hopefully next year we can get back into doing the parade. But however, we are very, very thankful for the City of Modesto and the Parks and Rec, who have always made sure the ducks are in a row in making that happen. However, it will be at 3500 Coffee Road, and there will be some refreshments afterwards, and we're working on that detail as well. You'll see more about that. I want to congratulate the Finance Department. I wanted to say it earlier, but it seemed like I hit the wrong button. So I want to thank you for your accomplishments and what you do and what you mean to us as a council, me personally, making sure, again, the pencil was sharpened and doing the right job and making us look good. So thank you for that. Also on the 28th, which is Monday, at Davis High School is District 5's development workshop, and that will be from 5:30 to about 7:30, and that is at Davis High School. The 28th, that's a Monday. Look forward to seeing all of you who can be there. Please pass on to someone else. Maybe you can't make it, but you can always tell someone else and they'll make it. Other than that, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Alvarez. Vice Mayor Alvarez, excuse me. It's almost the end of the year. Eventually I'll get it right.
The community that came out in support of... Sorry about that. My mute was on. I want to thank the community members who came out in support of Martin Luther King Park updates and Cesar Chavez budget clarity, and also in support of the Southwest Modesto plan. I have an outline of where exactly the funding is going towards and how much, and I'll read off in a minute, but I do want to express my sincere gratitude to all the community stakeholders that have been pivotal from the conception or the inception of this project to where we're at now, and I would imagine on to completion date, and I'm looking forward to that. So Modesto is paying for the park with an $8.5 million state grant as outlined by the city manager a little bit ago. $2.5 million will come from Measure H in addition to cover the new price tag, which is approximately $17 million. So 8.5 from the state grant, 2.5 from Measure H. The 1% sales tax increase voters approved in 2022, $600,000 in what are called community facilities fees, and nearly $5.5 million in ARPA funding or pandemic relief funds that the city received from the federal government during COVID. So the pandemic relief funding portion, I think this is where the clarity is needed here, and I admit, we could do a better job at communicating these things as a city. The pandemic relief funding portion of this project must be spent prior to the December 31st, 2024 deadline. And therefore, the city has decided this would be a prudent project at Cesar Chavez Park due to the project completion date and the timeline. It would be a prudent project to put these monies towards prior to that December 31st deadline. And a portion of this ARPA money was originally intended for MLK, as stated by the public, for the MLK Park renovation. And because of this reason, the city's plan is to fund additional dollars needed to finish MLK Park by the target completion date. However, we needed to reallocate that ARPA prior to December 31st. Therefore, that was the prudent decision on behalf of this that the city took. Otherwise, we would have had to give that money back. That's the reason. And I'm also happy to accompany the mayor to my district at a workshop or a community forum to convey this to the larger audience. I was born and bred in District 2. My family's been there since 1955. So I hear it. These concerns are visceral to me when I hear them. I own a home. I'm raising my family in the West Side, right off of Paradise. I went to Burbank Elementary. Like you're preaching to the choir here, and that's why I'm sitting up here, because I'm probably, along with other folks who have represented District 2, one of the most invested in the betterment of the community. And so that's a good segue into the Southwest Modesto plan that I want to thank Dr. Perfecto Munoz for spearheading and for leading over the last couple of years. So the Southwest Modesto plan is a blueprint for the west side of Modesto and a section of the Crow's Landing corridor for future development. And this plan will serve as guidance on land use, economic development, transportation, infrastructure, and other issues for the Southwest or West Modesto area. And as part of this project, the city has conducted an extensive community engagement process to hear from residents, community groups, and local regional agencies that have all contributed collaboratively to this ultimate plan. And what Dr. Munoz was outlining is the people's plan, El Plan del Pueblo, which is a supplemental plan to the Southwest Modesto plan that was developed by the city. So the West Modesto Community Collaborative took initiative to develop their own supplemental plan because they saw perceived gaps in what the city proposed and developed, and rightly so, their effort was to plug those gaps, and that's what they did. And I was happy to be a part of those workshops throughout the process, and I continue to be engaged throughout the process. I continue to consult with Dr. Munoz and other stakeholders in my district regularly, and I'll continue to do so. But I want to highlight some of the history of District 2. Often it goes unnoticed. Historically, District 2 has seen crumbs from the city, and that is right. We hear that all the time from Sebastian Jones, from other activists and advocates, and it is true. From what began as migrant farm housing in the west side and south side to what you see now has been decades of development. And being elected 2 years ago, I cannot change that development or expedite that development overnight. It's going to take a collaborative effort. It's going to take a long-term approach and sustained approach, an intentional approach to make sure that that community is getting the proper attention and the proper, more than attention, proper budget allocations year after year, that it has been so intentionally ignored. And so I wanted to highlight that for you all, because oftentimes I hear from my community and my constituents that we're not doing enough. Well, if you look back from when the first migrant farm housing went up in the south side and the west side until 2024, I would argue that we've done a lot. We just can't get it to utopia overnight. And that I want to make sure that that's understood, that we're doing all we can, and we're seeing historic investments in District 2 the last couple of years, and I will continue to work collaboratively both with my constituents, which is a large silent majority who do not attend workshops, who are out there working day in, day out, jobs, raising families, raising kids. Those are the folks that I speak to most often. Those aren't the folks that y'all see at the workshops. That's just the reality of it. The small group of people that are consistently engaged, who I also speak to, and I let them know it's important to make sure that they serve as relays to the larger community, the larger silent majority who just is working day in, day out, to help me communicate to them and convey what we're doing. But what I'm hearing from the larger audience, the larger constituents that don't attend these workshops daily, is that they're relatively happy with what they're seeing. And so I'm kind of confused when I hear different activists and advocates coming to these workshops proliferating a narrative that is surprising to me. But I understand the frustration where it stems. It's just what I just outlined, because historically for decades we've been receiving nothing but crumbs. And that's why I decided to run for office, and to make sure that I spend my time and focus trying to make sure that that is right, that those wrongs are righted. So you have my commitment that I'll continue to do the same thing. And again, I want to thank the community for coming out in support of MLK Park and the Southwest Modesto Plan and Plan de Pueblo.
All right, Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a note that for the general plan workshop for District 6, which is the northeast part of Modesto, will be next Tuesday at Freedom Elementary School from 5:30 to around 7. So if you live in District 6, which is Briggsmore, I forget the street, Briggsmore and Oakdale, everything northeast, that's the area. Be sure to be there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other council members have comments at this time?
That was a senior moment, I think.
It's all right. Needless to say, there are many, 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 many community opportunities to be engaged. So please follow up without repeating all the dates. Tomorrow evening, right here in this place, we will be gathering to talk about these important topics, which is the general plan, which is the blueprint for our city. And it's really, really important to have community input, and there's lots of ways to do that. So please join in. All right, on to city manager comments. Do you have any? No comments and reports? Next on the agenda is hearings. Item 14. A hearing to consider establishing City of Modesto Community Facilities District, CFD, number 2024-2, Fairview Village, number 2, authorizing the levy of special taxes therein, calling a special election, and declaring the results of the October 22nd, 2024 special election. So this is the time and place for the public hearing for the proposed formation of the City of Modesto Community Facilities District number 2024-2, Fairview Village number 2, and all other matters discussed in the resolution of intention adopted on September 10th, 2024. The public hearing is hereby officially opened. At this time, we will first have presentations by staff about the district. After that, we will receive comments and questions and any oral protest from any interested persons. When all comments have been received, the public hearing will be closed. I will turn it over to the city clerk for a comment.
Notice of public hearing has been published in accordance with the Melrose Community Facilities Act of 1982, and proof of such publication is on file in the office of the city clerk.
Thank you. Now we will have a staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Jessica Hill, Director of Community and Economic Development. So a little bit of background. A Melrose District is a flexible funding mechanism for local governments to help assist with mitigating the effects of new development. And this Melrose law was established in 1982. It raises money through a 2/3 vote of the owners of the district in order to levy these special taxes. It's formed to finance major improvements such as roadways, storm drain facilities, pump station, parks, landscaping, and bike trails. A CFD can also be leveraged through the sale of bonds to help with that influx of funding to pay for these public improvements, and these bonds are secured by the special taxes which are levied by the property owners and billed on annual property tax bills. So before you today, our Fairview Village specific plan was approved by council in 1995 and encompasses just below 360 acres. It is bounded by Whitmore Avenue to the south, Carpenter Road to the west, and Hatch Road to the north. In 2003, Fairview Village Number 1 was established, but it encompassed a CFD which primarily focused on water improvements, and since then, those have been mitigated through our utilities department. So in February 2022, STL Company submitted an application to form the city CFD for the remainder of the Fairview Village specific plan to also partner with our BOLD program, which is in partnership with the state for additional infrastructure. So before you today, there is one forming parcel just above 40 acres, which will, but it also will encompass the area on your screen above, which will be part of the formal CFD formation. The proposed 40 acres will encompass 217 single-family dwellings. So the CFD will encompass financing with the city of CFD as well as encompass and use the state of California BOLD program. So within our city CFD, it will help pay for infrastructure along the surrounding streets, so Hatch, Carpenter, Whitmore, as well as will help pay for the building and maintenance of our neighborhood parks, our medians and roundabouts, bike trails, walls, landscaping, and tree pruning. The applicant is also going to be utilizing our BOLD program with the state, which will encompass the CFF fees, water connection, water installation, sewer, and public facility fees. So for the city CFD for approval tonight, there will be a one-time special tax, which will be $45,702 per acre, as well as we'll have the ability for the ongoing maintenance tax associated with the acreage as well, which is a total of $4,775 per acre. Next steps, if approved tonight, there will be a second reading of the ordinance on November 5th. Site improvements will begin in mid-2025, and construction is anticipated to start on the single-family homes in 2026. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, are there any questions from the council? Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jessica, for your information. How many houses per acre do you think they'll be able to get on this? There's any...
So for this one, it's just above 40 acres, and there's 217 single-family homes. So I could do that.
Okay, on the 40 acres?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from council members? Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor. Jessica, just for clarity, what district is this lie in? What district is this project located in? Is it District 2?
I believe it's your district, District 2.
Right. This is the southwest corner of the district.
That is correct.
I believe.
Yes.
I just want to make sure so that way I understand.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Now I will open this up to the public. Are there any oral protests or comments by the public? Any comments or discussion by members of the city council? Oh, excuse me. We'll wait. Welcome.
Loretta Carhart. Yes, I wish to ask, I may have asked the same thing, but I cannot get a complete answer, and I want to know. Does this have, now this has to do with the taxes that people pay in that's on our tax bills, correct or wrong? Or is it right?
This will be for the people that live within this new district.
But the money that is being used, that what's on our tax bills? For instance, I had to pay Sears 6 times the amount I was to have paid because taxes being put onto my property tax. I've tried to fight that for so many years, it's pathetic, and I can get no help from anyone. And I'm going to continue until I do find out the truth of it, because I'm finding out I'm not the only one it's being done to. It's done to lots of others here in Modesto, and it's mainly single men or women who own property. where lots of people do not like low-income people to own their property. I was offered millions, or not million, well, $850,000 cash for my house. I refused it, and I'd refused $20 billion for it. But when you guys put taxes on something and we can't find out why not, or why it's on there the way it is, I want to know who in the heck we can go to. She's told me before no, so I would like you sometime to tell us who.
All right, thank you. Are there any oral protests or comments by the public regarding this item? All right, any comments or discussion by members of the City Council? All right, Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe it's 5.4 houses per acre.
All right. Before I formally close the hearing, is there any property owner subject to the proposed special tax who wishes to file a written protest? If so, they must be filed with the city clerk at this time. For the purpose of a majority protest, only written protests are to be considered. Seeing no protests, the public hearing is hereby closed. All right, I will read the first resolution. This is a resolution declaring the formation of the City of Modesto Community Facilities District number 2024-2, Fairview Village 2, number 2, conditionally authorizing the levy of special taxes therein, and conditionally establishing an annual appropriations limit of $12,100,000. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution of formation?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Scudia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. Now I will read resolution number 2. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Modesto, California, acting as the legislative body of the City of Modesto Communities Facilities District number 2024-2, Fairview Village number 2, calling for a special election. Do I have a motion for this resolution, calling for a special election?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Williams.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Scudia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll for this resolution?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. So it carries 6-0. Thank you. At this time, I hereby direct the city clerk to tabulate the ballots and announce if 2/3 of the votes cast upon the propositions are in favor.
Yes, Mayor. The city clerk has tabulated the ballots, and 2/3 of the votes cast are in favor of the proposition.
Thank you. Now I will read Resolution 3. Resolution declaring the results of October 22nd, 2024 special election and approving certain related actions pertaining to the City of Modesto Community Facilities District number 2024-2. Do I have a motion for this resolution declaring the results of the special election?
So moved.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Ricky.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wright. Will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. Carries 6-0. Now I will read the ordinance title for the fourth motion. This is a motion introducing and waiving the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the levy of special taxes within the City of Modesto held within City of Modesto Community Facilities District number 2024-2, Fairview Village number 2. Do I have a motion to introduce this ordinance authorizing the levy of a special tax?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Councilmember Wright,
Second.
second by Councilmember Escudia Brayton, and will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escutia Brayton?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez?
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwollen?
Aye, carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is new business. Consider approving the purchase of 5 Pierce Velocity 1500 GPM Type 1 fire engines and 2 Pierce 107 Velocity tractor-drawn aerial fire trucks for a total amount not to exceed $9,246,959. And we will have a staff report. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. Kevin Wise, your fire chief. Before you this evening is a proposal to buy or purchase new fire apparatus for the Modesto Fire Department. A little bit about our apparatus history. In 2016, we had a similar purchase where we purchased 5 Type 1s and 2 tiller trucks. And with that purchase, at the time, we did a 10-year turn-in, what's called a 10-year turn-in lease. And in 2021, we purchased 5 more Type 1 engines on a similar purchase for a 10-year turn-in lease. A little bit about our fire apparatus. We've been using what's called Pierce manufacturing or Pierce fire engines since the 1980s. We are what's considered a fleet customer. So with that comes additional training for our mechanics. We have a fleet team at Pierce that can help us with any type issues that we might have with our apparatus. One thing about having the same fire apparatus, and this is on our Type 1s and our trucks, is that we have continuity within our fleet. So it really helps our maintenance program with parts. As you can imagine, if we had different manufacturers, we would have to have different parts on the shelves. So it really helps with the continuity of getting our apparatus fixed. Training's a big one. Training for our mechanics, training for our firefighters to be consistent with the same type of apparatus. So no matter what station they're going to, they know what type of apparatus they're getting into, and they know they're very familiar with it. Again, I'll hit the maintenance piece. That's a really big thing about having fleet continuity and having a very familiar fleet. And finally, crew safety. Our personnel, when they're out on the emergency scene, when they're very familiar with the same type of apparatus, it really provides for a higher level of safety. Apparatus longevity. So typically a fire engine, which is our first out piece of apparatus at all our stations. So within the city of Modesto, we average 33,000 calls for service a year. So think about that each time that the fire apparatus has to leave the station and go out to the scene of the emergency. So they get used quite a bit. So our fire engines are really, really our lifeblood of the fleet. Typically, and this can vary, mileage, hours of use. As we're on fires, they pump for several hours, and it's really hard on the apparatus when they sit there and pump, or if they're just idling there at a call. So typically, we look at 10 years of frontline service and then another 5 years of reserve service. And the reserve apparatus is what we use when the frontline apparatus is in for routine maintenance or if there's a breakdown. Very similar to the fire engines is our trucks, our ladder trucks. So typically, they don't run as many calls as the fire engines. They're not used as much. So typically, on average, you can get about 15 years of frontline service out of them and 5 years of reserve service. The current state of purchasing. So right now, currently, for a Type 1 fire engine, it takes 4 years to get that. So that's time of order to the time you receive it. And then once we receive it, we still have about a month or two before we even put it in service. We get all the equipment in it and get everything mounted. The tiller ladder trucks are even longer at 51 months, so almost 4.5 years to get that, to replace it. Comparatively, pre-COVID, it used to take 1 year to get a fire apparatus, and these fire apparatus are all custom built. Every piece on that fire apparatus is spec'd out by our spec committee. So pre-COVID, it would take 1 year, and we used to complain about 1 year. How could it take so long to build a fire apparatus? Now we're looking at 4 years and 4.5 years, and part of the reason for that is what happened with COVID. We had issues, we had a backlog of orders, we had supply issues, and we're still experiencing some of those. We've had a large increase in orders in the last few years. We had that pent-up demand, and then with ARPA funding, a lot of municipalities were able to make these purchases and these orders all at one time. So the manufacturers have been trying to keep up with the increased demand. So 2016, so we ordered this apparatus in 2016 with the intent, we have an option we leased them. So we could either turn them in at the end of the lease, or we could do what's called a balloon payment and keep the fire apparatus. The challenge with this is now, the soonest we can get apparatus now, or is it this time in 2028? So they're going to be 2 years past that frontline service. And we did not anticipate that, of course, until we found out how long it was going to take to get apparatus. So they're going to go 2 years past what we consider that frontline service. So they'll be at 12 years old in 2028. And then the trucks, which we will be what's considered, just before their frontline service of 15 years. So that's the challenge that we're facing right now, is we have to keep these fire apparatus. And the current reserve fleet that we have now is very, very old. So there are some options with purchasing fire apparatus. I've mentioned lease. There's a couple of different types of lease options. There's also making just a single payment. So with our lease options, they're typically 10-year leases, and they have, what they are is that you make this lease, it can be a lease at time of purchase or time you receive the apparatus. Each has its advantages and its negatives. The positive with doing a lease is that you limit the one-time large capital expenditure. Some negatives with the leases is that obviously you're going to be paying interest on it, and if you want to keep them, you got to make that balloon payment. So the challenge is if we wait to purchase the fire apparatus or lease them at the time we get them. So if we wait 4 years and we start the lease then we miss out on what's called a pre-purchase discount. So in this case, for this apparatus, it's approximately $1.5 million for discounts that we'll receive. And I'll go over those a little bit more in some further slides. And then the interest you see there on the different options, you have $2.8 million for one lease option and $1.7 for the other lease option. Again, if you do them at time of delivery, then you miss out on that discount. So you lose that savings. So the other option is to purchase at time of order. So you get that prepayment discount that I talked about, and I'll go into further details in the next slide. But it's approximately $1.5 million. You have no interest, and there's no balloon payment. So you can save depending on the type of lease you do, we could save approximately $3.2 million by purchasing upfront. So before you is the engine purchase. So on this slide, you have the cost of the 5 Type 1 engines, which is just a little over $1 million a piece. You can see the discount. If you make the prepayment discount, you have $860,000 in prepayment discounts with the engines if you make it up front. You see the sales tax there. The sales tax is returned to the city. And then for the ladder truck purchase, they're a little over $2 million a piece, and the discount is $684,000 for the prepayment discount. So again, the total discount for both the ladders and the engines is a little over $1.5 million. And again, the sales tax comes back to the city. The recommendation from the fire department, and we've analyzed several different options. We looked at the different lease options, the interest, the balloon payment, the age of the fleet when we're going to get these, and decisions we'll have to make with the 2016s in 2 years. But our recommendation is to purchase the 5 Type 1 engines, the ladder trucks, and with that we will save we'll get that prepayment discount. We will not be paying the interest. So again, if we do make that payment, we'll be saving about $3.2 million that we can use elsewhere in the city. You can see the age of the fleet with our reserves down there. Our ladder truck reserve is over 22 years old. You can see one of the engines that we're currently using for reserve is a 2003, an 04, an 05, an 07, 09. So our reserve fleet is getting way past what's recommended, especially with our engines. You can see how old they are. And that's one of the challenges also with apparatus. It's not just keeping the front line, it's keeping a healthy reserve fleet. With that, I will open up for any questions.
All right, thank you for your report. Does council have any questions? Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Chief, for that report. So on your reserves, are we going to be buying out any of the leases we have now to use those for reserves?
I highly anticipate that we will. And so currently the balloon payment amount is approximately $900,000 on the 2016 purchase. So with that $900,000, we would be able to keep the 5 Type 1 engines and the 2 trucks that are on there.
For $900,000 we keep, okay.
Yes, sir.
Great.
And we will analyze the fleet at that time and see mileage, hours on the engine, and maybe we don't want to keep 1 or 2 of them. So we'll analyze the fleet and keep the best ones.
And on the reserves that we have now, will we wholesale those out, or what do we do with those?
Yes, we will. We will surplus those.
We might put one in a park, and that would be a good play thing for one of our parks.
District 5.
What's that?
District 5.
Yeah, I remember growing up, and there was always a train or an airplane in a park, and we used to climb over and everything. But that might be something to even think about. Maybe the city manager can help us on that. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the things we do with our surplus, we do help out the junior college, the RFTC program. So if we can surplus them and they're in good shape, we can look at surplusing them to the college.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. On the lease back, in the real world on cars, if there's a lease and you go over a certain amount of mileage, is it just 10 years or is it mileage and we're penalized because of the mileage? I mean, how does that work for these apparatuses?
I don't know about the mileage, but I do have a representative here from Pierce Manufacturing that I could ask.
We're good, thank you.
Okay.
Right. I have a question that just came to mind. The majority of our calls are medical emergencies. So the first question is it necessary to take a truck to those calls? But then in the same context, is there a minimum requirement for a city as large as the City of Modesto to have fire trucks available for possible emergencies that can arise? So I'm not suggesting that we have less fire trucks. What is the criteria, I guess, would be my first question for a city our size, and do we meet that criteria? Let's talk about the fire trucks first.
Sure. So right now we're currently conducting, and we should be finishing up here shortly, is a standards of coverage that looks at our city and looks at our response capabilities. So right now, of course, we're meeting that demand, and it depends on what our expectation is for performance. So 2 things measure performance with the fire department. One is the time that we can get on scene. As you know, time is critical in any type of medical aid or fire. Fire doubles every 1 minute. Cardiac issues or respiratory issues, you've got about 4 minutes from the time of onset. So time is critical, and that's how we measure performance. But we will be bringing to council that standards of coverage here within the next few months, and that'll give you a better idea of a snapshot of our performance of the Modesto Fire Department. And with that will be recommendations. So to answer your other question, we get that all the time. So I'm used to answering that question about medical aids because it's the majority of what we do. And so what happens is, and I use the expression, is your plumber. So your plumber, he gets a call out to a house. He's not going to leave his service truck with all his tools and all this different stuff that he can go out to fix the issue, because he might get out there and now he's got a different issue, or maybe he's called to another location to go to another job. So the same is for us with the fire department. we bring our toolbox with us, because we could leave or be at that call and get dispatched to a fire or another emergency or a rescue or another medical aid, and it might require different equipment that we might need. So really, it's been studied. Taking the fire apparatus is your best choice. A lot of wear and tear on them, of course. Now, in some of the bigger cities like LA City, LA County, they do use what's called a squad model. So they'll use a 2-person squad like a utility truck, and they will respond to medical aids and that. But they have an extreme amount of staffing that they're able to do that and perform that.
Yes, and I fully understand also that every call is more complicated than what it can seem initially. As part of my training for the emergency room, I did accompany and go on calls to the scenes, and they're always complicated. And a lot of times you do need more equipment than just medical equipment. So I appreciate that. That's good to know. Any other questions at this time regarding item 15? All right. I will open this up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to discuss this item? Seeing none, I will close public comments. Are there any comments from council members? Councilmember Scudia-Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think it's a very wise to leverage early purchase of this public safety equipment. I believe it's smart and it's fiscally conservative. So for those reasons, I definitely plan on voting affirmatively. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, I truly agree with Councilwoman Scudia-Brayton that this is a wise choice. Not that your name is wise, but it's a wise choice to be able to get this now. But I do know that it could come before 4 years as well, correct? Sorry for the question when it was a comment.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen in 4 years. So,
but the max is 4, and it could come in 2.5.
Yeah, yeah, it could happen.
Thank you.
All right, our city manager has a comment to make.
And I just want to clarify for the record that this purchase is being funded through Measure H carryover. That wasn't clear on the presentation, but I wanted to make sure it's clear for the public.
All right, thank you very much. And regarding the trains and airplanes and maybe fire truck being in a park, that was in Children's Park where Leo the Lion was. Yeah. Councilmember Ricky. I remember. I give every opportunity I take to talk about Leo the Lion, who's safe on the Virginia corridor. It was amazing back in the day, Councilmember Wright. All right, so no other comments from council members regarding this item? I have 2 resolutions. I'll read them together for one vote. A resolution approving the purchase of 5 Pierce Velocity 1500 GPM Type 1 fire engines and 2 Pierce, is that 107 feet or 107
inches?
Feet? Okay, that's what I thought, but all right. Velocity tractor-drawn aerial fire trucks for a total amount not to exceed $9,256,959 and authorizing the purchasing manager or her designee to issue the purchase order. And a resolution amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 annual operating budget to appropriate $9,246,959 in the MFD Measure H Facilities and Fleet Cost Center 18611 in General Fund, Measure H Fund 0160 for 5 engines and 2 trucks and authorizing the city manager to take the necessary steps to implement the required budget adjustments. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Scudia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Alvarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. Carries 6-0. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I'm calling this meeting of the City Council be adjourned.